What's up, everybody? It's LG Doucette here. Today is Monday, October 25th, 2021. Welcome to the First Minute Podcast, where I talk about marketplace trends, big sales, and everything going on in the NFT world, including NBA Top Shot and also including Candy Digital, which is dropping tomorrow, people. Or if you are in the early access or early adopter bucket, you get your hands on it this morning. That's right, you're getting the MLB All-Stars this morning, the icons coming out from Candy. We got a great show for you today. I'm going to talk about, obviously, my reaction to the NBA Top Shot Series 3 roadmap. Very significant. That dropped late Friday afternoon. I took most of the weekend off, so really didn't have time to digest too much of it outside of the spaces we did, but now have some thoughts. Also going to be posting some thoughts on Twitter a little later today. Also, Klay Thompson finally coming to Top Shot. Going to talk about that as well. And then the second half of the episode, we are going to talk to Shane Small, the head creative at Candy Digital, who's going to tell us all about the inspiration behind the MLB Candy icons, as well as how he sees the world of NFTs evolving and what they have planned at Candy going into the future. I want to remind everybody here that nothing on the show constitutes trading advice in any way, and that the show is not affiliated with NBA Top Shot, the NBA, or Dapper Labs. We just do work with FlowFest and Candy Digital and a lot of other fantastic partners. I'm just a guy at his house who loves basketball, sports, and blockchain. This is the First Minute. All right, folks, come on. Let's just get it out of the way. Klay Thompson, the most highly anticipated Top Shot debut of any currently active player. Kind of active player. Klay hasn't played a basketball game in a really long time, unfortunately, but we're finally going to get him back, hopefully sometime very soon this season. Doesn't matter. Top Shot not willing to wait for him to make his return to the court. Instead, surprises us on Friday with a showcase challenge for the Vintage Vibes fandom set of a Klay moment from the 2013-14 season. Lots of people on Twitter speculating of which moment it might be, likely a game winner or something really fun like that. Also, some funny Klay news over the weekend if you're following the NBA, which you probably are. Some of Klay's teammates having fun at his expense because he was left off the NBA top 75 players of all time list, giving him a nice little 77 jersey to celebrate that, having a little fun at his own expense. As of last night, I think on Live Token, we're seeing that Klay moment has 6,300 completions and growing so far. It goes all week, so likely to probably get closer to 10K. The low ask right now is a bit of a moving target because these new challenges kind of require a variety of different moments. It's kind of open-ended, but right now you need Series 1 debuts, and the lowest are going for about $50. You need 2 of them, and then the other low-hanging fruit is Golden State Warriors base debuts going for $65 to $70. So at the very least, you're going to need maybe about $250 plus, including you got to get all the WNBA moments as well if you don't have them already to complete this challenge. But again, not stopping a lot of people from doing it. I was lucky. I'd already completed a Golden State Warriors set. I already had a few Series 1 debuts, so it wasn't an issue for me to do it. My big question with this Klay challenge is this the future of challenges? We know we've got the Series 3 roadmap. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But really, what I've been trying to do is figure out if this is how challenges are going to be done, where instead of having a prescribed moment or prescribed moments of, say, you need these 5 moments or these 10 moments to do this challenge, rather it'll be you need one of this bucket of moments, or in this case being you need one of any Series 1 debut or one of any Golden State Warriors debut. And with that, I've actually been trying to figure out what the next challenges like that will be, especially for Vintage Vibes, which I think we might be getting more of these classic players, maybe not ones that don't have a moment on Top Shot, but maybe it's the other ones that were in the run it back, such as Shaq, might be coming up in a Vintage Vibes moment. And if you do a bit of math, you do a little bit of sleuthing, a little calculating like I have, you'll notice a few things such as that the most recent Vince Carter challenge needed 3 dunks from Run It Back, and in that Run It Back set, there are 21 dunks out of 50 moments. So that leaves, 29 other moments that are potentially viable for challenges. So you could assume that maybe, this is my own assumption, but let's say there was a Shaq challenge that you might need non-dunk or maybe non-shooting moments for that, like layups, or I don't know if there's blocks. I think there's a block in there to do that Shaq. Again, that's very much speculation. I hope you kind of understand what I mean, but that's kind of the code I've been trying to crack. Also, a lot of rampant speculation that there will be challenges, showcase challenges, where you need players from the top 75 NBA players of all time And I'm not really sure where that's going to go, but I've been stocking up. Oh, no, stocking up's the wrong word. I've been looking at moments from players who are in that top 75, who are still active and actually going for their rare moments, their cheaper rare moments. So recently, last week, I picked up a Chris Paul Conference Finals moment, rare, as well as a Kawhi All-Star Game moment. That's just me. I've been liquidating a little bit of stuff, unfortunately some Series 1 stuff as well, to try and make room for that and anything else that's coming. But that's, again, not financial advice. Make your own decisions there, but always fun to speculate. And the other big news, of course, Friday was that the Series 3 roadmap has come out, which also signals the end of the summer 2021 set. We now know that there will only be 2 more drops, and they could actually both be this week. Obviously, tomorrow there's the WNBA drop, which will be the last WNBA drop that we have probably for a very long time. Very interesting things. If you start to look at this set, there's 18 different players, all from this year's WNBA playoffs, 8 of which are from the teams on the finals. I don't know if they're going to be moments from the finals. I hope they're moments from the finals, but they'll be at least from those teams. Also interesting to look at the set art, which looks a lot like the NBA Cosmic set art. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that indicates anything, but really cool to see that type of artwork come back and be available to collectors as of tomorrow. Only other drop that we know of is another archive set drop, and then after that, summer 2021 series should be done. The blog for the Series 3 roadmap said that the second archive set drop would come before the end of the month, and really, I mean, there's only 6 days left in the month, and I doubt we would be looking at a weekend drop. So I'm going to say that that drop is coming Thursday or Friday, the final of, I guess, the historical set drops for a little while. Also happening this week, Dwayne Wade, the claim period, or the buy a Dwayne Wade with no requirements other than being a collector on Top Shot. You could buy up to 3 of them. That ends this Wednesday. So far, about 205,000 of them have been bought. Not sure if that's going to increase too much by Wednesday, because I think a lot of people who wanted them have already bought them. So looking at that to finish around 215, 225 mint count, which, if they're all the same moment, if they're all this one Dwayne Wade moment, that would be by far the highest minted moment so far on Top Shot, which is a great way to dive into Series 3. So I'm going to caveat this little portion here by saying that I'd planned to take the weekend off, go see some friends for the first time in a long time, just kind of relax, get some sleep in. So after we did our Twitter Spaces on Friday, after this news dropped, didn't really have time to digest too much more than that. I needed a little break. And honestly, despite there being this juicy roadmap out, let's be honest, none of these moments are coming out anytime soon. We have at least a couple weeks before any of this happens. So it's very exciting, but there wasn't too much action for me to take, or really to recommend to take. I'm planning a little later today to maybe write a little Twitter thread about my thoughts, but for now I'll give you some of the high level ones as I started to dive into this in just the last couple of hours. High level for me, what I love that this roadmap indicates from the Top Shot side is that they're listening to the community. And they've stated that many, many, many times that they want to listen to the community, but here we see so much of the community feedback being integrated, as in high quality of moments, right? We've seen people complain about how some moments are just kind of boring or not from very great players. That is being clearly changed. We're seeing Top Shot address an oversaturation of different moments and sets, and also just get ahead of the game in terms of people being surprised that yet another set or another drop is happening. So to me, Top Shot taking the feedback is very good. My own personal opinion, and this is kind of in contrast to what I just said, is that I actually kind of think that this is a lot. This is a lot of different sets. And in terms of moments, we know they're going to be relatively the same in terms of rarity, except for the very common commons that are going to be 60K plus. But overall, you kind of zoom out, this is bringing the total set count in Top Shot from 45 to 63 by the end of Series 3. That's like 29% increase in total sets. And I'm not counting vintage vibes because I'm not really sure if that's a set or not. So by the end of Series 3, we're going to have 63 different sets on Top Shot, which a huge portion of that is actually Series 1 rare sets, which don't really count as real sets because they're very small. So really, this is like a massive supply increase. And if you kind of average that out over the course of the season from now until the end of the finals, like November to the end of July, that's actually about 2 sets per month. Obviously, it's not going to be dropped in that cadence. There's actually going to be more drops in that because you think things like Metallic Gold and Hollow Icon actually have like 2-3 drops of their own throughout the season. We're looking at like more than 2 drops per month. That's a lot. And then also coming up soon, we got the Genesis Moment auctions, which we're not sure when that's going to happen or where it's going to happen, but it should be happening relatively soon. And then we also have the Series 1 trade tickets, which I guess are kind of like a burning measure of the commons, but still other moments that are coming into the ecosystem, right? To the tune of a couple hundred, if not a couple thousand packs. So that's my high level kind of opinion, is that despite this being fun to see all this stuff, it is a lot. It does feel like quite a lot. But again, like I said, I need a bit more time to digest before I give my full opinion. I'll finish on a bit of a positive note, is that despite there being, woes about perhaps people didn't get the sets they wanted or there being too much supply or whatever, I will say that the bigger challenge here, or the bigger factor in terms of whether these sets will be well received or not, and these drops will be well received, is the community. And not just our community, the people that are here now, but the new community and how we bring them in. The community is such a massive part of this entire operation that the way in which new collectors, whether they're learning about Top Shot in NBA arenas or through marketing on Instagram or wherever that's coming from, the way in which those people get integrated to Top Shot, not just in their buying cycle, but also in terms of discovering that a big part of Top Shot is like hanging out with other people, joining other Discords. That part is going to be so vital. So the marketing and the intake is really going to determine in 9 months' time whether all these new moments, all these new sets is in fact too much. Because really, for it to not be too much, we're going to need a lot more people who want to buy stuff on Top Shot and that understand the value of the different moments on Top Shot, not just of Series 3, but of Summer 2021, Series 2, and of Series 1. So, like everything else on Top Shot, time will tell. And with that, we're going to move on to our main event, which is the interview with Shane Small, the head of creative of Candy Digital. This is ahead of the MLB Icons drop on Candy Digital, which is tomorrow. And if you're an early access person, it's actually today. So lucky you if you're in there, if you got into the Discord before October 8th, which was the deadline to qualify as an early adopter. If not, if you're part of the public and you're just discovering these MLB Icons right now, the drop is tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern. There are going to be 6,533 All-Star packs up for grabs, featuring 81 of this year's best All-Stars from the major leagues. And then Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern, you'll get a chance to grab some Uncut Diamond packs, which are the rookies from this year. There's going to be 6,307 of those up for grabs. Each pack goes for $50 US. You can only pay with credit card, and in each one, there are 3 different icons with varying rarity tiers, which I actually found was kind of interesting because the rarity tiers aren't just kind of like an arbitrary rarity. The rarer they are, the more different the NFT is. So if you have the common one, it's actually just a card. But then if you have the uncommon one, it's the card and a video. And then it goes all the way up to legendaries, which are one of ones actually, and come with a real life experience. So it's this kind of like sliding scale of rarity and also like awesomeness. And actually, like the rarity is actually reflected in the NFT and its utility, which is pretty sweet. You can buy up to 10 packs as a collector total throughout the week. So if you want to get like 2 of the All-Star packs and then 80 of the Uncut Diamonds, you can do that, but you can only get 10 total for the week. Those are the drop details. And I do want to remind everybody here that the content with Candy Digital is coming as part of our paid partnership with them that lasts through this week and parts of last week. We're very happy to partner with Candy Digital, very proud that they considered us and they wanted to work with us and bring their beautiful content to you guys, our community. So please enjoy my interview with Shane Small. Ladies and gentlemen of the First Mint, we have a very special treat for us today. And I don't mean that because of the name of the business where the man who we're interviewing works. I mean that it is a treat to be speaking with this gentleman who is one of the big brains behind Candy Digital, Shane Small, head creative of Candy Digital, that is bringing us these sweet, sweet MLB NFTs this week. Shane, Lord Small, how are you doing, my friend?
I like the Lord. I think it works, right? Let's just, let's get it out there.
That's everybody knows. He asked me to call him that before we started recording. So just so you guys know,
just testing the waters. Let's see how that lands. I mean, if you want to call me that, fine. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Of Of course. How's I mean, we're recording this a couple of days ahead, but how has your week been? It's an enormous week at Candy,
Oh, it's
obviously.
insane. It is so crazy. It's crazy, terrifying, exciting, all bundled into one. We're trying to do something unique with Candy, right from, even what we're going to be trickling into the marketplace with our beta and our first product, our first core product. But we're a startup, and this space, the NFT space, is in its infancy, and we definitely, as a company, have huge plans for what we want to do and the roadmap that we want to go down, and the kinds of experiences we want to create. But there is no roadmap as it is out there now, at least in the direction we want to go. So it's a lot of, we're creating the content to release while we're inventing it, So we're literally, building the wings of the plane as we're about to take off. So so it's sketchy, all the bits and pieces that come with that. But man, I think we have something really exciting. The only thing that I can really lean on right now is that the team we're building and have built at Candy currently is the only thing that gives me full confidence that we are going to deliver something that's going to be amazing.
Wow. Okay. You saved that whole statement right at the end there, man. You came all the way back. You're like, this is so sketchy. It's such a mess, but the team is what's going to bring it home. I love that. But no, but you're right, man, about the planes. Like an analogy I've used often in the space is like, listen, all of us, everybody who's building, everybody's creating content, all that stuff, even the people just buying, collecting is like, we're like, this is pouring the concrete on the 16 lane highway, but also while racing like the Indy 500 on it at the same time, right?
Exactly.
And it's this impossible task where we're most of the people collecting are like they're totally fine with things not being perfect, but there are these bizarre rules that we all expect from NFT drops and from companies to kind of follow these kind of unwritten community rules. And then you've got tons of people, great talented people like yourself, coming into the space, learning the space on the fly, and then trying to put out a really fantastic product at the same time.
Yeah, because we definitely, our product, listen, sketchy is the wrong word. It's just it's just terrifying and exciting all at the same time. It's like, it's sketchy is not the right word because I feel really confident in the product we're making, and I really feel good. My thing is that, it's just we're learning. Like what we've learned just bringing out this first product is crazy. But at the same time, it just makes me filled with excitement that I feel like we're on the right track. I feel like we're delivering something that's going to be really unique into the marketplace initially. And it's just setting up the dominoes for what we really want to start bringing to the world of NFTs.
Absolutely. Before we get too deep into it, Shane, and I do obviously want to hear about the project and everything, I'd love to learn a little bit about you. We always like to kind of ask the origin story on the show, and just tell me about like the first time that you heard the term NFT and what that was like for you.
Let me go back a little bit just to kind of give you a little bit of insight to who I am, which would inadvertently answer that question. A lot of what I've done is, from a creative standpoint, would be considered by most as schizophrenic. I've touched almost every aspect of the creative market, from clothing, where I started, to marketing and advertising, trend forecasting, gaming. I combined games with clothing and created the first interactive clothing brand called eDoc. Then I worked with Xbox Studios when they were going to be creating shows on the Xbox and become the new entertainment platform to rival Netflix at the time. And I was brought on to look at how can we innovate and use the Xbox to kind of make more immersive and interactive shows for the Xbox. I worked with Netflix and kind of in their early stages of creating interactive content in their ecosystem. I've created interactive shows for Sony. I created award-winning campaigns for Shell that were fully immersive global campaigns. Worked with Hulu and creating an anthology series. Along the way, I created a small game called Exploding Kittens, which is probably my most successful thing. And then most recently worked with Facebook in kind of in the AR space, also in future casting, looking at all the latest technology that's going to be coming out in the next 10 years and kind of defining, what the world's going to look like. So a lot of my meetings there were like episodes of Black Mirror, but for reals, which was exciting and amazing. And then also with Snapchat and really kind of defining content that capitalized and was bespoke to Snapchat and utilizing their amazing technology. My whole life from a creative standpoint is looking at how do we create immersive narrative that really capitalizes on the amazing technology that we have. And so to in a long roundabout way to answer your question, for me, when I started hearing about NFTs, and it was very much in the early days where I started getting when I, started seeing the success of Bitcoin, and the blockchain and kind of how that technology could really be used. And we start seeing it now being used in NFTs and in Web3 and so on. But I really looked when I started seeing that in the early days, the potential of what I saw right from the very beginning, over and above just being able to create some digital art that we could sell on, that showed proof of ownership that we could sell on the secondary market. That's when my juices got really excited, because for me, that is just a stepping stone to a world, an immersive world that we can start creating through NFTs. And so, yeah, I don't know the exact time or date when I first heard about it, but I do remember when I started thinking about it, how excited I got. And then I was evangelizing it to everybody, and everybody was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
Even though that is still the case now, it
well, that's
was
something.
less of the case when I was talking about it.
That's the way I always want to ask people is like, how do you describe it to friends and family? Because for me, it's like there's kind of this pre-pandemic and after pandemic thing. Because I started looking into this stuff through the extra time I had during the pandemic, and so for me now, when I catch up with people, and some people I haven't seen in a long time or family, it's like, oh, like haven't seen you since the holidays, pre-pandemic or something like that, and they're like, are you still, doing the work you were doing? And I'm like, no, I'm working on NFTs now. And they're like, what are you saying? And then like 30 minutes later, either they're kind of curious or they're just like, I don't know what he's doing. Like this guy's life isn't going anywhere, so how do you describe it? How do you get over that hump with friends and family?
With vehement frustration and
Oh yeah.
just visceral anger. No,
Wow. Wow. Okay. Quite the chaotic life you live there, Shane.
no, I'm
I love
joking.
it.
I'm joking.
Love it.
For me, the challenge that I always have in explaining NFTs is the one-to-one ratio that people have with the physical world and the digital. So you kind of have to start out with this really, really rudimentary explanation of that, okay, it's just like artwork. You have an original piece of art that gets created in the real world, and that gains value over time because of the artist's reputation or blah de blah, and that gets sold in the secondary market, and you can sell it for more and more as time goes on based on the artist and the value of their work over the ages, and that can be applied to NFTs. But what happens for me where that story or that narrative, I mean, because that's maybe the cleanest way to kind of tell it in the most simplistic version, just like you own a piece of art that is subjective to anybody else thinking that is art. Like Jackson Pollock for some people is a bunch of splatters, but to other people is a masterpiece. NFTs in the digital world is the same kind of thing. You have this art piece that is subjective to the viewer, and might mean something to the person that owns it and is worth the 4.5 million that was spent on it, or whatever the number is. But the disconnect keeps on coming where they don't know, well, how do I use it? How do I display it? How am I working with it? Like, how do I flex with that piece of art? And what people don't understand is that NFTs is a digital content that lives in a digital space. And we need to be leaning into that and understanding what that means, because taking a one-to-one piece of artwork or creating a digital piece of artwork that lives and behaves like a artwork that lives in the real world, for me, is a missed opportunity. The digital world is so amazing. Like, we're not beholden to any physics. We're not beholden to anything. We can create whatever we imagine in that space. Narratively, it can live, it can evolve. I can go to Germany and my NFT could change. I can open an NFT in the moonlight and it will look different if I open it up during the noonday sun. Like, it can become something because I nurture it or I experience it. We have such a world to play in the digital space, that we're not limited to a 2D replicate of an art piece that we sell as a digital piece. We can, and it does work, and we've seen it working, and that's fine, and it will continue to work in that way. But when I think about it, and when people ask me, but then how do I flex? The thing that I say to them is that I want to say 70 to 80% of the time, you're in the digital space. You're on your phone, you're on your computer, you're looking at websites, you're going through social media, you're going through your different portals, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, if that's something that somebody is still on. And that's where you can be expressing these NFTs. That's where they can live, is where you are 70% of the time of your day, whether it's through work or through a casual pastime. And for me, is to try and explain to them that the digital space that you're living in most of the day is where the NFT lives. And that's where you can start exploiting it and showing it off and experiencing it and being immersed with it in that digital space. And that's the hurdle that I think a lot of people just find hard to jump, is just like, it's digital. But doesn't it mean less? And it doesn't. We just got to understand that that's where we're living now, mostly, you know? And as again, and we can get into this a little bit later, but as we start going into the future, like, we're in the embryonic state of NFTs. We're just dipping our toe in the waters here. But where it's going to go, and like I said, I've been immersed in the next 5-10 years of where technology is going, and where it's going. NFTs are going to be way more valuable and way more desired.
Would you say that this will bring more people back into being art enthusiasts?
Absolutely. Also, I think we're looking at a generational gap too, of people not understanding, people having very predefined notions of what art is. And those paradigms are definitely getting broken down daily, especially I mean, there was a time where you couldn't say that a game, like a video game, was art. But I will absolutely argue that video games can absolutely be art and move you emotionally and make you cry. Like, it's there, and it's just going to grow more and more.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's great to hear you say this. It's a lot of how I've been feeling and trying to explain to people that I'm like, for me, this makes me, I look at art more now through NFTs, right? Before, you scroll on Instagram all day. Now I'm scrolling creations from other people,
Well, do you,
right?
do you know what so here's the thing. And again, this comes back to my philosophy of what NFTs are and what NFTs can be. And again, I'm generalizing. But an NFT, you can admire and look at a piece of artwork from a distance. Like, I'm just seeing it. It's there in front of me. It's doing whatever it does, and it's visually beautiful and it moves me. But with digital content, it doesn't need to stop there. I can be drawn in. I can interact. I can have experiences with it that could personalize that NFT, that becomes very bespoke to me personally because of maybe actions I did in the real world, or how I interacted with that NFT. It can evolve. And as soon as we start getting the consumer to be involved in that experience, in that art, in that piece, that's where you start to create something really powerful. Again, through my schizophrenic creative path, I think the through line through all of that is being narrative, storytelling. As corny as that might sound, it is true. Story has been the thing that I'm constantly looking for that utilizes the technology they had. What is the story that connects with the audience? So, for example, the stuff we're building with Candy, I'm looking for the story that people care about one of their heroes in sports. Tatis, I love him. I want to know his story, and I want to provide that story through NFT. So it's the story we're telling, and this applies to anything. If I'm building a brand, I need to tell a story, have a voice for that brand. If I'm writing a show, I need to tell that story and have a voice that resonates and connects and is meaningful to the audience. But there's a second story that I'm looking for too. There's the story we give to the audience through our content, but then there's the story that the audience has with our content. I want to create experiences through our NFTs that surprise or evolve or change or builds a relationship with the audience themselves. I want that audience to go, did you know that your NFT did this if you did this and this? Did you know, like I never knew that this could happen through my NFT? Because as soon as you're creating stories for the consumer to tell, all of a sudden the value of that NFT is skyrocketed because I now have a personal relationship with that content. And so I'm constantly looking at how can I tell the story to the audience, but how can I create opportunity for the audience to tell a story about our content?
That's how you shape community, man.
I couldn't agree with you more.
That's it. That's what it is. It's the stories that people are going to tell each other. And that's how people find communities, by having similar stories. And also I like kind of what you're saying about people taking the NFTs and running with it. Cause then it's like, we're just going to be in this like massive real life artistic RPG game of
exactly
having the NFTs evolve, but us choosing our own paths. And that's what's been beautiful with a lot of these, the NFTs in the past year, where the people who collect them get the commercial rights behind them. Right. And then they can just go and do stuff with them and create their own stories. Right. And that's what you're going to unlock over time. So that's great, man. It's man, we haven't even gotten to the candy part, but already I'm like, yeah. Whatever you're selling, I'm going to buy it. Yeah. I'm like, okay. This guy's designing the product. Give it to me. Very cool, man. Well, let's get to it. We do have to, we do want to talk about candy and about Major League Baseball stuff. So, most people know by now, but this week, by the time people are listening to this, it's going to be tomorrow that they're going to be able to collect the Icons packs. Tell us about that. Tell us about the product there a little bit.
So, again, the all the things that I've actually been telling you and talking to you about, and those grand ideas, those grand schemes, that's the roadmap that we're as a team are looking at building for Candy. Those are the things that excite us. But obviously it's baby steps into that, But even in those baby steps, we're trying to create something that is not out there right now, especially in the sporting world. Even the content that we're building, like our icons, which are going to be releasing, I think Monday, we're really trying to build an experience that feels substantial. It feels like whatever you're spending on it, you're going to get your money's worth. Right from how we open the packaging, how we define our rarity structure, and we're using this gem mechanism to define it. And it's something that we're using right now, but it's something that we're going to evolve and grow as we grow more IP and as we grow more content. But again, even with our simple icon card offering, and I say simple, I don't think it is simple. It's really cool. We've approached it in a very different way than I think most people have approached collectible card experiences. Again, I'm looking for people to have meaningful relationship with our content. Everything that I've built in the past through technology, I've always asked, why are we using that technology? How does it enhance the experience? And how is it meaningful? Because so many times when we take a new emerging technology and we apply it to an asset, people do it just because it's a fad and they react to it and they respond to it without real thinking about, what does the audience care about? What does the audience want? What is meaningful? And how does the technology enhance that meaning? And so with ours, our initial launch, and especially with the icons, we're trying to build story around those experiences, not just deliver you a card that, has a beautiful picture and has a rarity structure and all those beautiful things. We will absolutely have that. But I want to build a story. I want to build an experience. I want to approach it in a piece like it's a piece of art, not like something you've seen in the past. I want to take you through a narrative, have motion graphics. I want to have it be mixed mediums from photographs to motion graphics to video contents. That when I buy a piece of our content, we actually care about what we've bought and not just care about the secondary market. When I did a deep dive in kind of approaching NFTs in the past, just before I started kicking off what I think, the start of our roadmap is, a lot of what I saw out there was people buying NFTs and really not caring about the NFT itself other than what's the value of that NFT in the secondary market. So there would be a lot of unpacking of packs, and it's like, oh, that's that, that's that, that's that. Oh, what is the rarity structure? And not even care about what is the content of what I've just bought outside of maybe the rarity. Like, oh, I really love this person. This was a great play. I saw it last night, and that's why I like it. And so, what I'm trying to do here, and I'm hoping that everybody feels as excited as I do and as the team does, is build something that actually I'm hoping you care about and you actually think, oh, that looks beautiful and has like a story and I want to watch it and I actually care about the product. And you know what? I also care about how cool is this on the second, how is this going to do on the secondary markets? I wanted to elevate our experience and our product through narrative, through story, through artistic execution. And I feel like we've really achieved that with our first product that we're going to be releasing. We will also be applying utility to it. Again, this is a big part of what I'm looking for moving forward. So that this is not something that I'm going to look at once, might look at a second time because it's pretty, and then like sit on it, and then hopefully that it just gains value on the secondary market. But it's something that I want to come back and look at. I want to actually use because we have dynamic stats attached to it, where we can see how our hero is performing this season, and I can see it because it updates in real time. So that's kind of how I'm looking at our first launch. And again, what we're going to be launching in our beta is, I think, is going to be awesome. But again, it's just the start to all the levers that we're going to want to be pulling with these assets down the line.
What goes into planning something like this, Shane? Like, how do you start with developing, the gamification and the design and kind of the roadmap that clearly you've got, hidden away, lock and key. So we're only just going to start to discover what's going on here. Like, where do you start with all this, and what goes into that process?
For me, it's authenticity, sincerity, and meaningfulness. Again, that's the thing, because too quickly, all this shit can just become gimmick. Like it's so easy for something to become a gimmick. And as soon as it becomes a gimmick, that is not a business that I feel is sustainable. So I'm constantly looking at what actually matters. And we do that by really trying to understand, number one, what does, in this case, what do the MLB fans care about? What do the cryptocurrency fans care about? How can we capitalize on what they care about and innovate in that space to give them not only what they care about, but so much more? The way I'm looking at our content, and again, we will be piecemealing this out as the months go by. So not all of this is going to be available on our beta, but we will be bringing it and it will be applied to our content as we move forward. But first and foremost, I look at building an asset, like I said, that for somebody that only cares about investments and only cares about that secondary market, we're going to give you a fantastic product that looks great and premium, and that will gain value on the secondary market. It will be an investment. But for those that want more out of it, I'm going to give you more. I'm going to dig in there. I'm going to put the levers in there. I'm going to put, like I said, dynamic stats. So I can come in and actually see through my NFTs how they're going. I want to create experiences that if I go to a live game in the real world, that I might unlock an animation or another portion of the asset that I've created that I have in my NFT. I want to put levers in there that give me gamification that I could then now use these cards. Cards is actually the worst word. I should never have used that because I hate to think of it as a flat item when it's a digital space. So
Hey, it's
forgive me.
okay. One day we won't call them NFTs or cards or anything, man.
Exactly. But these digital assets and experiences will put gamification so that I can play some casual game of, home run derby or even a fantasy league that we will develop ourselves. That you can actually use your cards, and that those card stats will be affected by how my hero is performing in the real world. So we'll have the surface level that if I only care about the beauty of the NFT and what it looks like and the secondary market, we've got you covered. But if you want more and you want to experience an NFT, we're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to you an immersive gallery where I can show off and socialize my NFTs in a 3D way. Our platform will give you full interaction where I can spin my card, interact with my card, see unfolding animations, see new things come out. That's what we're going to be. That's how I'm looking at building our content moving forward.
I like that little bit of alpha that slipped out there when you talked about building your own fantasy league. I like that slip. Pretend we didn't hear that. It's on the podcast now.
Yeah, no, when I say, again, what I'm really getting at is like a management team building. We will definitely have our own unique gamification around our content that we will be playing and that you will be able to play. And again, I just want you to have an experience with it. I want you to be immersed with it. I want you to want to engage with it, not just think, oh, I bought this and that's there. Great. And if that's what you want to do, great. I want you to get involved. I want you to care about it. And that's what we're trying to build as a thesis behind our content.
Absolutely. So as a baseball fan, or as I'm more of a casual baseball fan. I used to have Blue Jays season tickets a decade ago when I lived in Toronto, and still, pre-pandemic, I live in Vancouver, or near Vancouver, and I'd make my way down to Seattle to see some games whenever I could, and catch any games I can and watch the playoffs. But I wouldn't say I'm hardcore, but I'm not unaware of what's going on in the major leagues. For people, from me all the way up to the most diehard fan, all the way down to someone who only knows one or two big names, what can I expect here as a fan with these NFTs?
Well, I think kind of the stuff that I've just mentioned prior. We will definitely be delivering to you as a casual fan something that I'm hoping you will look at and go, "Oh man, that looks awesome." Like, I'm not a baseball fan, but dude, it feels like it's fresh. I haven't seen that type of execution graphically. It looks good. The music's great. I'm stoked with just what I've received, whether regardless of stats or who that character is or whatever. I'm hoping that aesthetically you love the product and the experience that we give you, you feel like, oh man, that was worth it. Whatever I paid, that was just a nice experience. And again, we want to apply all the levers to the diehard fans, right down to the very detail of if there's an animation in the card, those little nods to the nuances that every player knows about, every detail about their hero. We want to feed you those little nuggets. Again, the more you dig in our content, the more we're going to try and give you. So that's the thing. So as superficial, we're hopefully to deliver a premium product, but as an experience, we're hoping to blow the roof off.
Awesome. I love that. Last question for you, Shane. I'd love to just peek behind the curtain a little bit. Tell us about the team at Candy. I'm sure it's been growing insanely fast in the last couple months, this year, obviously. What's the squad look like? And the obvious question too is, what is it like to work with Gary?
Working with Gary's awesome, man. The thing that I love about Gary, I always feel like for the most part in meetings that I've done in the past, I'm the one that's, is trying to look at how do we innovate in the space? How do we really capitalize? How do we change the way people experience content? That's always been what people have looked to me for. And so I'm always so grateful to be in a room where I have somebody else that is doing it, better than I am, and is constantly out there innovating and inspiring, And so it's great. It's been great so far, and we have really good synergy, I think, and are really aligned in our approach to NFTs and contents and how we can really, for me, it's how do I bring the consumer into the experience? How do I service the fan? How do I service the consumer in a delightful way through NFTs? And I think he's on board with that. But in terms of my team, man, I have been, I don't think anything, that we have done up to date and even moving forward, I can't take any full credit for. The team is just so stellar. I have been so lucky, and it's not easy. I've had this once before in another company that I built, where I had a team that was just, I felt like we could handle anything. And we're a small team, and we're rapidly building because we have some really exciting and amazing new potential RP that we'll be announcing in the next, hopefully, few months. But we've been building this team that I think, let me just step back for a second. What we're building as a company through NFT is like no other company. Again, we're inventing it. We're pioneering in this space. And the way I'm looking at this company is that we're not one thing. We're not just this digital content. We have the potential of stretching our legs across narratives, sports. It's actually unlimited on what we could potentially do. And it's about corralling and making whatever we do meaningful. And so the team that we build needs to be a team that can handle anything. And right now, the small team that I currently have is a team that I believe can handle anything. And now the challenge is to find other people that live up to the standard of what my team is currently. So it's a team that I'm very proud of. It's a team that knows, and I'm talking from my creative team personally, that knows all aspects of the creative field, understands it. They've come from very diverse backgrounds, but this goes across the whole company. We've really been very conscious about the culture we're trying to build, about being a culture of innovation, being a culture of pioneering, and we're looking for that pioneering spirit in everyone that we hire. And so far, I feel like we've nailed it, and I'm just hoping that we become inspiration for other people the same ilk to join.
Beauty. I love that. Last part, Shane, and this is something that we do with every guest. So don't worry, you're not the first, is Great. We play a little game. Okay.
Oh boy.
And the game is Would You Rather.
Squid Games.
Oh, no, it's not great. Squid Games. It is not. Games,
I'm out.
Look under your chair. There's a sword. Yeah, exactly. No, it's a little bit more low key than that, but it is difficult. Okay. They're very hard questions. Are you ready? You know how it works, right? I give you two options and you say which one you'd rather.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather that Lord Small becomes your legal real name, or that you live in like the metaverse, like Ready Player One style, forever as a cat?
Okay, well, let's think about this. I got a lot of follow-up questions, right? What cats am I looking? Am I a panther, like some sort of regal panther, or am I some sort of house cat? Am I one of those hairless Egyptian
When I
cats?
said cat, what came to mind for you?
A panther. I mean, that's what I'm
All
thinking.
right,
I'm
then you're a
hoping I'm a
panther. Whatever
panther. All
came
right,
to
great.
mind. This is like the Matrix. When you're in there, it's the representation of whatever you think it is, but you're a cat. So it's
Dude, I'm
okay.
a panther all day in the
Okay.
metaverse.
Cool, strong panther. Okay.
Strong panther delivering, just delivering justice. Vigilante, like a vigilante panther. That's
If
all right.
that's what you want to be, that's a lot. That's a lot of responsibility, man, to say that
But I
you're going to
feel
be the
like,
vigilante. Like that's a reputation to live up to.
listen, there's a lot of wrongs out there in cyberspace, and I'm just here to deliver justice. You know,
Okay, would you rather you're this vigilante panther in the metaverse, Ready Player One, or permanently we change your name to Lord Small?
panther all day, baby.
Panther, yeah. Well, now that you
All
elaborated
day.
on that, yeah, you kind of took that into a territory where that was the better option. Okay. Okay,
Uh,
next question. That was great.
uh,
Would you rather they rename one of the most famous art galleries in the world after you, or they rename one of the most famous sports stadiums in the world after you?
listen, I feel like doing that either way is going to be a drop in sales. Like I think people are just like, I'm out. Okay, so it's like, I would like to think art gallery, just because, I would like to think that's kind of been my trajectory, and like people might affiliate me with artwork. So I'll go art gallery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Which one? Which one came to mind when I said that?
The Louvre.
The Louvre.
Right?
Yeah. Same here.
I
That's
mean,
also what I was
yeah.
thinking.
I
Yeah.
mean, right, if I'm gonna go,
That's the one.
I
That's the
gotta
one.
go big, you know?
Okay. Last question. And this one's a little wacky. Well, it's kind of cool, but also wacky. Okay. Well, they're all kind of weird.
I mean, not to say a panther in the cyberverse is not wacky, but okay, great.
Well,
Let's
it's
go
kind of
this way.
it's up there. Okay. Would you rather the baseball players and the whole sporting world is so in love with what you're doing at Candy Digital that they decide that now they're and I don't know if you're going to build a metaverse in the future or put them in the metaverse or whatever, but they're like, wow, we love being in these NFTs so much. We were only ever going to play baseball games in a metaverse, and the league is dictated by Shane. It's like the way we do it and the way it's designed and the way we experience it. And the fans are all in the metaverse. It's baseball moves entirely to metaverse experience, or you have the same abilities as Inspector Gadget.
I mean, again, I don't trust myself in giving godlike powers to players, but man, Inspector Gadget, dude, all day. I don't even think there's a question. I mean, can you imagine? Just like arms, I can helicopter out my hats.
The helicopter out the hat with handles. That's right.
Dude, with handles. That shit's the best.
You have a car that converts from a van into a sedan.
Dude, I gotta believe if he's so tech savvy, he's gotta like be connected to the internet too. So I think I would still be able to control the baseball team.
No. That's not part of it. No.
Was
He's
that not part
analog.
of it?
You're
What,
analog.
I
You're
don't-
analog
there's
only. There's no
firewall?
internet. No, you've got the helicopter hat and the inflatable jacket and all the crazy stuff, but you there's no internet. Not even in the car.
All right, I'm in. I'm still gadgets all day.
You're analog Inspector Gadget.
All day.
Yeah.
It's the best. I mean, I don't even know. There's no comparison.
You passed the test. You passed the would you rather test because your answers were fantastic.
This is amazing, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shade. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you on, man.
It was really good. Thank you.
And that is going to do it for us today, folks. Thank you for listening. Happy drop day tomorrow. There is so much happening in the world of NFT sports, so make sure you stay on top of things. You're going to hear from us on Spaces a few different times tomorrow, so make sure you tune in for that. Otherwise, we'll see you Wednesday on the First Mint.